I'm sure that was my husband. I paid him to do that. I'm up here because of lessons I learned from my father. He thinks that life is a game to be played and to be enjoyed. He says if you go through life worried, and if you go through life in fear, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of important things. So that's why I'm here. He also says that, if you're looking for funny and not the things that can go wrong in life, he says, sure, life will be crummy sometimes, but look for the funny, not for the crummy, and you'll live a longer life and a happier life. My dad is 92 years old. He is living proof that attitude got him that life. He was a big-time smoker, overweight. He's 92, that attitude. So he was very determined to teach his girls to enjoy life and to look at it without the worry and the fear. So when I was 4 years old, I was in the car with my dad. He pointed and he said, hey, look, there's the cemetery. I hear people are dying to get in there. Cute dad joke, right? Yeah. I belly laughed for a minute, and then I worried about death for the next hour. So I had my first lesson from Dad. Remember, look for the funny, not for the crummy. When I was about 6 years old, I overheard my dad say to my mom, I learned how to catch a polar bear. I was listening in. She said, what you do is you cut a big hole in the ice. Polar bears love dried peas. So you put that around the ice. And when a polar bear goes to take a pee, you kick him in the ice hole. Okay. Well, at 6 years old, I had no idea what ice hole meant or that it meant something else. So the next day, my entire first grade class learned how to catch a polar bear. And we were thrilled. We were like, and when the polar bear goes to take a pee, you kick him in the ice hole. And our teacher was like, oh my God. So Miss Murray said, where'd you learn that? I told her I got a note to take home to Dad. And just a few days later, there was this parent-teacher kind of conference. And they were all there. And some of the parents said, hey, what's going on with first grade, Mrs. Murray? Our kids are saying things like ice hole and about catching a polar bear. And she said, she ratted out my dad in 2 seconds. That was Joe Carrier. So my mom freaked out. She's a big worrier. She was like, I'll censor him. My dad was very calm, and he said, I'll be more careful. But I'm glad you know how to catch a polar bear now. Do you know how to put a condom on an elephant? They're like, what? No, how? He said, well, you spell the word weigh as in pounds, but when you spell it, you leave the letter F out. But there is no letter F in A, Mr. Carrier. That's right, there's no effing way to put a condom on an elephant. Hey, Dad. And if you want to learn how to put a tutu on a tiger, meet me after the meeting. And he did. He was out there. He was surrounded by everybody. Nobody was worrying. Everybody was laughing. And from then on, they started to call my dad, Mr. Carrier. They started to call him Mr. Character. It really fit. So Dad was always playing. He said to me when I was a teenager, I'm going to start a company that sells couches. Be like a couch company, like Mattress Kingdom. I'm going to call it Couch Kingdom. And I learned to play with him. And I said, you sure you don't want to call it Sofa Kingdom? Or would that be so fucking dumb? So I got my first job working for the state of Utah after college. I loved to mess with people. I had a boss there, and he was a very nice, proper guy. He'd be concentrating in his office, and I'd stick my head in and say, can I get your ass for a quarter? He'd be like, pardon me? I said, can I get you a glass of water? Heading to the cafeteria, coffee, tea. Another day, he'd be concentrating. I'd say, tickle your ass with a feather. What was that? I'd say particularly nasty weather. Oh, yes. Another time he would say, I would stick my head in and say, are my testicles black? What did you say? I said, are my test results back from the state exam? Oh, I'll check on that. So I was young and so fucking dumb. So I'm married to a wonderful man, very happy to play in life with him. And one of the things about him is he goes with the flow. I was recently at a restaurant with him, and I ordered the corn, he ordered the peas. They served me the peas. They served him the corn. He said, I'll have her peas. I said, you got herpes? Oh, now you tell me. We are no longer invited into the Cracker Barrel. That's my time. Thanks for playing.
Give it up for Kellce.